Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to today's episode of the Daily Packers Post, where we bring you in-depth coverage of your Green Bay Packers. We have new videos dropping every day, Monday through Friday, so hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. What a disappointing performance the Packers had in Cleveland, and unfortunately, a lack of discipline remains a big issue for this team. And it's something that has plagued the Packers under Matt LaFleur at numerous times, and it's something they need to clean up. This was a game the Packers absolutely should have won. And while I give some credit to the Cleveland defense, the Packers mostly beat themselves. When you're up 10-0 with less than 4 minutes in the game, you should not collapse the way the Packers did. And one big issue in this contest was penalties. 14 penalties in this game for 75 yards. And look, it was a problem last year. They had 119 penalties in 17 games. That's 7 penalties per game, tying them for 23rd in the NFL. And that doesn't include penalties that were declined or plays where there were offsetting penalties on both teams. And if you go back even to the playoff loss to Philadelphia last January, which was a closer game for most of it than the final score indicated, the Packers committed 8 penalties for 85 yards. And, had they played a more disciplined game, they had a better chance of scoring some more points because penalties so often derail drives, and of stopping the Eagles, who got multiple second chances as a result of Packer mistakes. Now, against the Browns, it was more of the same. The Packers just imploded. They self-destructed. And yes, some of the penalty calls were questionable. Defensive holding or the Evan Williams interference call, those were ticky-tack calls, really not plays that should have been called under the circumstances. And yet, too many of those 14 penalties were mental errors. Rasheed Walker, who I'm a big fan of, he had a rough day. 2 false start penalties and 1 penalty for being illegally downfield, and that one wasn't close. He was 4 yards downfield when you're really only allowed to be 1 yard downfield. And those are all mental mistakes. Micah Parsons, as good as he's been, lined up offside twice. And to his credit, Parsons took full responsibility after the game when he spoke to the media. But boy, those are mistakes that you just can't afford to have, especially in a close game. And Jordan Morgan twice called for false start penalties. And yes, as far as Walker and Morgan were concerned, the Packers' offensive line was banged up. Zach Tom was out of the game after the very first play. You had Adam Banks out of the game due to injury at different times. And the Cleveland Browns front seven really controlled the line of scrimmage, dominated the game, stuffed the Green Bay running game, got pressure on Jordan Love. And a lot of these penalties were because the offensive linemen felt like they had to cheat. They wanted to get a quick start to time the snap of the ball and try to neutralize that defensive pass rush and run stuff. But boy, you can't make those kind of mistakes. And Matt LaFleur, after the game, admitted, he said, it depends what kind of penalties you're talking about. When you talk about pre-snap penalties, that's concentration, focus, just being dialed in at the moment. And this is something the Packers had to work on at OTAs, training camp, the preseason, and it doesn't seem to have made a difference. LaFleur goes on. When you talk about post-snap penalties, we had a bunch of holding. It comes down to fundamentals and technique. We've got to coach it better, and we've got to come down harder on our guys if we see it in practice, because that's where it all starts. So the Packers this year, even worse than they were last year with the penalties. 9.7 penalties average per game. That's 29 penalties. But remember, in week 1 against the Lions, they had only 4 penalties. So in the last 2 games, Green Bay, 25 infractions that were accepted. That is far too many. The NFL, as we know, is a competitive league. And the margin between winning and losing is often very razor thin. And if the Packers really hope to be Super Bowl contenders this season, and that's the expectation after they acquired Micah Parsons, they need to be more disciplined and need to stop committing bad penalties that cost the team. In the NFL, you cannot both have to beat the other team and beat yourselves. The season could depend on cleaning up these undisciplined penalties. And let's sincerely hope that Matt LaFleur addresses this and finds an answer, because it cannot continue this way. You get into a playoff game against a contending opponent, you thought it was bad against Cleveland. Boy, that would be trouble against, let's say, the Eagles or the Buccaneers or the Lions if it happens again. Don't forget to check out our website at thepackerspost.com, where we'll bring you in-depth articles on the Packers every day, Monday through Saturday. Here on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe to the Daily Packers Post so you never miss an episode. I'm Gil Martin. Thank you so much for watching to this episode of the Daily Packers Post. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And, of course, go Pack Go.